The Omni X-Men have returned. It's Tuesday. That means it's time to talk about Claremont X-Men. And as always, we got KnowGood Comics. Justin, how you doing, man?
Woo, doing pretty good, John. Pretty good. It's another Tuesday. Time's kind of flying by here. We were just talking about before, and it's a good thing because I love these issues. So yeah, I'm excited for tonight's.
We're already into issue 100, man. We've left the 90s behind.
I know.
And to celebrate, I got issues here. Chris, thanks for hanging with us, man.
Woo. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I love the background. I love the panels from the comics hanging out behind you there.
Yeah, it's something fun I thought I would put together. The way my computer now is set up, I don't have any access to like all the spots where I actually hung posters and comic books. So I thought rather than have a really boring backdrop of boxes and stacked comics, I would try to focus a little bit up here towards some actual artwork.
Nice.
Well, you nailed it, man. That's awesome. If you guys don't know Chris, I put the link to his
calendar and stuff over here.
See, you could have called that original artwork. We don't know.
Yeah.
I put the link to his Instagram and to his channel down in the description below. I Got Issues is dominating the trivia right now, so you all in the chat have a chance to make a little comeback on him tonight.
Oh yeah, it's unfair. But
of course, the link to Justin's channel is down below as well.
Next week, I will have all the answers again. I am participating, so
he's mentally recording everything that happens.
Yeah,
he lived it.
So this is the Omni X-Men show. This is the show where we break down using the omnibuses that Justin and I purchased for our first omnibus purchases ever. And we're going issue by issue through this Claremont run. We are on issue 100, a centennial issue, huge moment in the history of Uncanny X-Men. And we're excited to kind of break down the end of this Sentinel story arc.
Oh, yeah. It's, yeah. Times, yeah. I'm not even going to get into it yet. Go ahead.
Well, let's say hello to some people in the chat. We had Magic Lasso right off the bat. Ain't no mountain high enough to keep me away from this show. Thank you, man, for coming by. We appreciate that big time. And I know you've been preparing your comedy to make sure you can get some of those extra bonus comedy points some point tonight. And he likes the X-Men t-shirt there, Justin. He's enjoying the X-Men t-shirt.
Thanks, Lasso.
And hello to Chet, who is also doing very well in the trivia. I believe Chet is locked into 4th place right now on the overall scoreboard. So thank you for hanging, Chet. Chet, who is going to let us know here at some point his grade on his CGC slab for this issue 100. I'm sure
I know it already. I can tell you what it is.
Oh, really? Spoiler?
It's a 9.6.
Jeez.
Jeez.
Signed?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. We got Beta Ray Jim, the guy in 2nd place on the overall scoreboard. He's here for a little shot of redemption.
What's up, Jim?
Thanks for coming, Jim. Who's that handsome gentleman joining the show? He's digging the hair. That is you. That is you.
Me.
Yeah. Hey, unless you're talking about me. I don't know. Chaos is here. Thank you for coming by, Chaos and Comics. Much appreciated, man. Very subtle. Hi. Just 2 lowercase letters, really participating in that chat. So let's get started off the bat. What were your grade for this one, Justin? Right off the bat, this issue 100, culminating issue. What are your thoughts and grades on this one?
So every time we go into this, I try to think of a way to not give it an amazing grade. I want to try to be, I've shared with you in the past and when I was on your other show with Alec that we talked about how I'm I kind of just like everything and I give everything a great grade when I, if I like it, I really love it. But I really love this issue. I mean, it's going to be up in the 9s. I mean, it has everything I wanted. It had the action, it had the amazing artwork, the spread pages, and even just the emotion, as we get towards the end of that issue. And then, of course, it still leaves you hanging and just keeps things going. So, again, this is another one of those issues that kept me really hooked when I was first going through it, back in March. And, just didn't let up. It just so much action, so much going on, and it just leaves you with another kind of hanging note that you got to go into the next issue.
The patented Chris Claremont cliffhanger, right?
Yeah. Say that 3 times fast.
And so, what about you, Chris? What are your thoughts on this issue? I don't know when did you read this one before this week?
Oh man, I mean, it hasn't been years probably since I read these books. I got into X-Men big when I first started getting into comic books, because for me, it was right around that time where Jim Lee was relaunching X-Men and the TV show was on. And so when I first got into comic books, I was all X-Men. And since then, I am much less X-Men. I sort of have found my way to other characters and stuff that I like more, but I legitimately grew up on this Chris Claremont stuff. So I have read it all in the past. And then I read it twice preparing for, this episode, just so I would, know what I was talking about. But
Nice.
of all the issues that you guys have reviewed so far from GSX through 99, I think this is the best issue of the bunch. It's part of the reason why I picked it. And like Justin said, unlike some of the other issues, it literally starts on the battle and it doesn't slow down for the entire book.
Right.
And so when you talk about just excitement and pacing, it's able to avoid some of the pitfalls of the other issues where like the story diverges into like weird little things that maybe Claremont will touch on 106 issues from now, and this book doesn't really have that. It's just, full speed ahead. And it's really enjoyable to read.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys nailed it. I totally agree. I mean, this is probably my second favorite. I probably would put 95 still, maybe just a hair above. I love 95 a ton. And this one's right there with it. As far as also like tragedy of the new team, those 2 issues, 95 and 100, have huge consequences going forward. So it's kind of cool that we both seem to enjoy this issue. All 3 of us enjoy this issue so much. I'd probably do 9.5. I think somewhere in that range.
Issues. Where would you grade this? Did you say the grade number?
I didn't give it a number. It's definitely a 9 or above.
Okay. Yeah.
For
that's I felt the same way.
I thought I saw Jackson Roy Kirk. There he is. Reminds me of Avengers 141. Okay, there you go. And we got Delphia and Kachung in here. Thank you for coming by. You guys rock.
Hello.
And I thought I missed somebody else. There's actually Kachung. There you are. Hello, sir. The comic book Cuber. Thank you for coming by.
What's up, Cuber?
And let's see here. Yeah, I think TJ. I missed TJ. How did I miss TJ? Man, everybody's icons look the same to me right now. That's my blindness. I can see people saying hello to TJ. That's all I get. There he is. 9.6 as well for him. So we got double 9.6s in the chat. Chet's got his 9.6. Everybody's ready for their 9.6s. Mine is not going to be a 9.6. That's pretty straightforward. I still have mine raw, and I did not open it, Chet. But I can't promise that the rest of the panel will be as conscientious of your preferences. Hello, D-Runk. George is in the chat. Thanks for coming by, George. And Perry Lurkin. He dropped a review of an underrated indie horror film today called Creep that I actually really enjoy.
Nice.
Just something very different. So thanks, Perry, for coming by. Should I fire up the slideshow here as a teacher?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Get this presentation underway. Yeah, so this is issue 100. The 2 teams, new and old, coming together, battling it out, duking it out. And definitely ended on a cliffhanger last time. And man, we're starting off right hot and heavy with the splash page here.
Wait, can we actually go back real quick to the cover?
Yeah.
Chris, you had mentioned that this is like one of your like all-time favorite covers, right, for X-Men? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the to be able to see this, even I remember seeing this cover before I even knew kind of what was going on with X-Men, or really read into it, and that definitely just in itself raised a lot of questions because it was like, well, hold on, and just a lot of different questions. But yeah, it's such an epic cover, especially the way the last issue ended, kind of just takes that from there. And but anyways, I just wanted to highlight that because that is definitely an iconic cover for X-Men.
Absolutely. Oh, hello, Comic Head 84 is here. Thank you for coming by, 84. And Stay Puff Thanks for coming by, Sean. Yeah, I mean, it is iconic and it's wonderful the way the layout is. And actually, what I noticed just now is flipping between these slides. Xavier with his fists in the air he's replaced by Dr. Lang.
Oh yeah,
his fist in the air, doing his villain monologuing right here to start us all off. Yeah, classic villain pose, reveling in its success.
There's a lot going on in that panel there.
Man, it is busy. Yeah, absolutely busy. But for me, it bleeds better into the spread page, which is this bad boy. Holy coconuts, man.
Oh yeah.
This is an amazing piece of art, even though it really just has primarily in the center has Iceman hitting Wolverine with a snowball.
That's all I see when I open this thing.
and calling him a midget.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the first of 2 times that happens in this issue. That someone makes fun of Wolverine's height disability.
Yeah.
Oh my god, hilarious.
Definitely not PC for 2020.
Right? Absolutely. But you got a sweet Beast booty shot and a Colossus booty shot going there.
There you go.
Yeah, also like Havoc takes a punch from Colossus and keeps going.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would think that he'd be done for
That's
the
a
rest of
solid knock to the dome there, it looks like.
Yeah. He should be done.
Right. So when you flip to this page for the first time, Justin, what were your thoughts on this one?
So it kind of goes back to when I first read this, I did it all digital. So it brought me right to the top left-hand corner and just kind of took me around the entire image until it hit you with everything. So it was really cool. It almost like felt you were in the room, kind of watching as these smaller fights were happening. And you would see certain clips of like Iceman and like not sure what he's throwing and where, but as you got through the page, you started to see more of this. Yeah, I mean, all around, certainly just I mean, this whole issue, or the whole issue had a lot of these types of panels where there's just a lot of things going on and a lot of things connecting. But this one for sure was the favorite. There's some things one of the things I kind of questioned was with Storm. I mean, I like how Storm was like the one in the bunch of like, hey guys, like, let's just chill out. Can we get, talk this out or whatever? I actually thought that Nightcrawler would have been the one to kind of be that person though, or maybe to also be that person, just because I felt like that was more of his style, for him to just be like, nope, no time for that now we got to go. Like, I don't know. I thought it was a little different of him, but yeah, I mean, I love seeing Xavier at the bottom too, just saying kill them all. Yeah. So that was pretty violent. But yeah,
I loved 84 pointing out the Havoc arm. I had never really noticed until he said something about it. It's bizarre.
Oh yeah,
the length of it and the angle of his hand is very strange. Although, admittedly, without the definition of another color, just black, it becomes very difficult to kind of see what the fingers are doing. But he's got an ET thing going there.
Symbiote right there.
Yeah, the other hand and the leg are sort of similarly askew, sort of like a b-boy pose, but with like a lot of Liefeld anatomy.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, I jumped to this page and I was like, holy cook. I had forgotten how good this page was. And Cyclops right there at the front, like blasting away. And yeah, Storm in a great like hero pose. And yeah, in the background, you got Angel and Banshee who are matching up in the back. And then
there it is.
For me, it's the snowball in Wolverine's face that just nailed it. Uh-oh.
This is for Chet.
This is just for Chet.
Look at that.
It looks just as good when you hold it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Hello, Chris. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for hanging, man. Let's see. Cyclops is a badass. Iceman with the facial.
Somebody
Havoc
check.
Is no punk. Havoc is no punk. This is true.
Let's see if Chet.
Early Nightcrawler wasn't fleshed out yet. I mean, I think ultimately in the page, Storm and Nightcrawler are the two ones that are seeming to debate, like, what do? We don't want to fight these guys.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, it's on.
They're throwing fists. That's true. Poor Wolverine.
Patrick Wall, thank you for coming, man. So yeah, Chris, what are your thoughts on this this page?
I mean, I think you guys pretty much covered it all. I think I like I said, I'll always see the snowball first before anything else. I just think in a huge spread of just people getting their asses kicked, it's so hilarious that a snowball attack is, you know, a legitimate part of this fight.
Yeah, exactly. Let's continue on here. So basically, I have like 7 panels in a row of just new versus old. Like that's the whole. As Justin said at the top of the order here, that's this whole issue is just in various different ways, new versus old team battling here. So here's some of the Nightcrawler sequences here, where Nightcrawler is trying to figure out what's going on. He's battling with Beast. He's getting blasted by Cyclops. He's even questioning what is with Cyclops' visor. Something's different with the visor.
Oh yeah,
which does look slightly unusual.
Too
old
straight.
style. Angel is splattering Banshee's head, blood everywhere. Yeah. And then let's see here. Angel tossing Wolverine, and this is Chris's panel. Chris, go ahead and take this one away, man. This series here.
Yeah, well, first of all, this is, like I said, this is now the second time that someone from the old team has referred to Wolverine as a midget. So, you know, not very nice. But I mean, I'm a huge Wolverine fan. He's always been my favorite X-Men character. And, you know, if you're familiar with that, then obviously the fastball special is iconic. It's been in other Marvel comics. Other characters have used it. Wolverine and Colossus have used it. It's been in video games, you know, Marvel Capcom team-up moves.
Heck yeah.
So, you know, this is iconic because this is the first time that it happens. And I don't necessarily know that Chris Claremont thought that it would be as big as it's become. It's just sort of hilarious to have a little clawed guy get you know, chucked across the battlefield at somebody by Colossus. So it was, you know,
I agree.
Beautiful artistic panel in the book, but for the sake of nostalgia, it's definitely my favorite.
Well, and I love the idea that they're like, just like we practiced this in the Danger Room.
Like they came up with that. They were like trying to think of ways to be bad guys, and you know, Wolverine was like, "What if you throw me?"
Let's just give this a try. Let's try this out.
Yeah.
Hello to X Illusionary digging the fastball special.
What's up, X?
Yeah, and also if you look, Wolverine's claw is looking very different in the design with like a flat blade, like, you know, it seems like just pointy but sharp on the edges. Maybe I feel like sometimes different angles, Wolverine's claws look very different.
Yeah, I think in the beginning there's this sort of evolution of them trying to figure out exactly how they want it to be. Sometimes they look more kind of like shish kebab skewers.
Yeah.
Sometimes they look like, you know, real knife blades. So
yeah, exactly. And sometimes they're like vertical, and other times they're horizontal.
Yeah, it's odd.
I like how Angel's just like, what the?
It's still new. So
I
yeah,
like Angel's comment there at the just being shocked, saying, "What the?"
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "What's happening?"
Completely not ready for that at all.
I've never seen that kind of attack before.
Yeah.
He needs to go to the Danger Room and watch him training.
I'm gonna try that with my friends next time there's a street fight.
Right? You gotta make sure you have a small enough one to throw. Yeah. I love these panels too, with Colossus versus Havoc. The yellow and the radiating circles and the energy coming off of Colossus. I thought these were just some of my favorite uses of color, just because it's just yellow and black and white, and it's used so cool.
Yeah, big time. Love how just the face is captured there in the second panel, and the blast kind of just surrounding him there. Also, just kind of, I feel like for Colossus, he's kind of just discovering, you know, he can, I guess, his strengths or his limits, and he kind of fights through them. Thought that was interesting. I feel like there's another one I'm trying to think now. I don't know if it's in here or not, that in the panels, but
hello, Biggie Shaq. Thanks for coming, man. Yeah, I mean, I know that he's been an MVP a bunch. I feel like he and Nightcrawler and Storm have been a real joy to read in these early issues. And this was another moment when it was just like watching him get knocked about and then come back from it. And, you have Havoc saying, "Cry Havoc," and it's in that bold red. And then he's at the end of it, Colossus saying, "No more." And he's swinging that big beam and taking him out.
Yeah.
I dig the way that they did the lettering on that.
Definitely.
I like the part too in these earlier parts of the Claremont run where he's kind of also letting you know that Colossus has limits and he has weaknesses. I think from the outside, because of his appearance, he kind of has that OP character mold where it's like, well, who could beat this guy who's just like phenomenally strong and has this, really huge metal body. And so, the fact that he's thinking in his head that like it's pushing his limits, that he's feeling pain. I think it's important building on the character, just like last issue where they touched on like his emotional state not necessarily being as strong as his physical state, with the spaceship freak out over his brother. I think it's important that they're building on these characters, not just being, these really super powered, indestructible forces.
Yeah, I was thinking too, because they don't. I mean, these characters are still so new, and we're only 7 issues in or whatever. We still have those types of questions of like, how can his armor, what can his armor handle? We know we saw some of it being tested when he fell out of the plane, in 95 or 96. But things like that. And that reminded me. The other one I was going to bring up was the Wolverine one where, his mind, and I don't know if you have that in here or not, John, but where his mind's kind of being taken over by Jean, but he's able to kind of fight it.
I have that. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll bring it up.
Oh, absolutely.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
The 97 issue reference that Colossus is discussing is the battle at the airport, because they recently fought Havoc and Lorna Polaris due to Eric the Red taking them over. So they had just fought Havoc recently, and that's what Colossus is referencing.
Yep.
Oh, look, there it was. Sorry, there it was. Jackson Roy Kirk throwing it out there. All right, so
it's always funny when comics don't do that anymore. Comics now will reference an issue from like 7 years ago, like, you know what I mean, to get you on board, like go check out. Like Donny Cates did that, I think, in like it was Venom 3 or Venom 4. When he retconned Null to be part of that God of Thunder series. So he did one of those, like, check out God of Thunder issue 6 from like 7 years ago. But it's not common anymore that someone is like, check out last month's issue.
Right.
They're not really questioning the fact that you might have read the previous issue anymore. Yeah. So here's an interesting little bit too, with Storm going against Jean Grey and Storm noticing like that, like, we were friends. Like, why are you doing this? Like, I feel like I know you, but you're not acting like the person I know. And then Lorna coming to her rescue and trapping her. I anything with Storm, I'm going to talk about it. It's just going to happen. So,
oh yeah,
has to happen. Let's see here. And then this is awesome. Xavier out of the chair, cold cocking Wolverine. I feel like this has been a very common thing in these first 5-6 issues, where somebody just punches Wolverine. Some person with, like, digits that would be crushed by hitting a metal skull, just lays him out. And of course, Xavier rising out of his chair and Wolverine going, "Holy!"
This is the most action that we've seen out of Professor X ever.
Right?
Which is even more ironic when you find out the truth of the matter. But
exactly. So there's the spot.
I get his hands dirty.
Yeah, exactly. He's too busy making bad moral choices.
Or fishing.
Hey, it's gotta happen. Everybody needs a break, Chris.
Yeah, we all get vacations. Yeah.
So Jean Grey blasts him with a psychic blast, and this is the bit I think you were talking about.
Oh yeah. Just some more good character development to really get an understanding that he has these instincts that can guide him through, even when he's getting attacked by someone like Jean Grey. So yeah, that was just another great point of just character development there, I think. I like the bubbles coming out of his head there.
Right. Yeah, for me, like this reminds me a ton of Fables, where you have the big bad wolf character who his power of smell is like dominant and controls a lot of what he does, and being able to tell the difference of between people or where people are and where they've been. And this was definitely the first time I think you really get a glimpse of Wolverine's sense of smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like building on that characterization of him being very like animalistic, which is something that they haven't really opened up about, yet. He's sort of this, stocky, a-hole, for lack of a better word. They haven't really addressed like his background or, what kind of makes him that character besides, his claws. They haven't dug a lot deeper than just the claws yet.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And then watching him go full beast mode too at the end, where the background all of a sudden goes bright red, and he's just like, I know Jean Grey, and whatever you are, you ain't Jean Grey. Just full beast, man. I love it. Why did it take so long for him to notice? That's a great question, Jackson Roy Kirk. And he was just like nose to nose with Xavier and didn't notice that he didn't smell like Xavier. But the argument the panels seem to make is that he's caught up in the battle and wasn't really focused. And then when she does this mental attack, it shuts everything down but his most basic primal kind of self.
We could also blame the ice ball, the snowball that took him out. Maybe that clogged his.
He got some snow up his nose, and he had to wait for it to melt.
Yeah.
Right. So then, obviously, we have the big reveal after he slashes into Jean Grey that Jean's a robot, and yet again, the villain stance.
I think that's his only stance throughout this book.
I love that he's still missing the tooth, and he's got the big old black eye from Cyclops putting the beat down.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's pretty epic.
So another great spread page. So Chris, what do you think of this villain, this Dr. Lang, man?
I feel like it's more questions than answers with this guy. I don't feel like they really. Each issue you learn a little bit more about him, but not necessarily enough to still yet understand even what his motivations are. On this spread page, obviously in the dialogue, you come to find out that, he, by working for the government, he gained access to Trask's lab, which is how he got involved with the Sentinel machinery. And then, he was working with the Council of the Chosen, but his plan was to betray them because they wanted to control mutants and use them as tools, as weapons, and he just wants to kill them. And so all we know is that this guy is like really, really angry, and he really, really wants to kill mutants, and we don't really know much else other than that. So it's, not that you would like him anyway, even if you knew what his, feelings were, but it's so, like, his tunnel vision is remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, even when in his early appearances in, what is it, 96 or something, he had a little cameo moment. He was batshit crazy then. Like, the guy just seems like way, way off the deep end and always just screaming everything. Everything's a maniacal scream.
I feel like if it was 2020, he would be tweeting a lot. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's right on
Twitter
point.
would be his way of communicating.
All caps, all the time.
Just
I did want to touch on the way the layouts were for this spread page. I thought was really cool, especially on the right hand side where it kind of goes up at an angle. The first time that I read this page, again, being that it was digital the first time around, I think it was better for me that I had taken it on as a digital way, so that when I kind of it brought me to a certain direction that I don't know if I would have gone in if I read it as a regular book otherwise, but to go from left all the way to the right and then start back down at the bottom right. I don't know. It's a lot going on, but I do like the creativity of how they kind of angled it up to the right and still have these like close-ups of their heads and stuff like that.
Oh, I love the layout and the way things are pieced together, whether it's the monitor with that amazing drawing of like robot Jean all tore open and Wolverine standing over her, all the reaction looks from the group down below, or them all trapped in the little tubes, watching behind him. And then, yeah, like Chris was saying, all the little backstory that they layer in with those panels across the bottom.
Yeah.
So again, the spread and splash pages all through this issue there's so many great ones. It's just really well utilized.
This also opened up a couple questions for me from a viewpoint of like, obviously it's impressive the way he was able to alter the Sentinel technology to make these sort of lifelike replicas, but they also don't really dive into that. We went from these like towering Sentinels that could very little, almost sort of one trick power ponies, and now all of a sudden we have these lifelike X-Men duplicates that actually have the powers that which maybe for characters like Havoc, or Cyclops makes sense because they're just energy blasts, but it also makes you wonder like, well, how did they give a robot like psychic powers like Jean robot like?
Yeah. Yeah, they never broke that
because
down.
they never go into his process of creating this new form of Sentinel. I totally agree that's a big chunk of his story that's kind of left out of this story arc.
Yeah.
Chet says, points for reading digital, Justin. Don't be a heathen. Lacro mentioned sorry, what was it?
I'll take it back out, Chet.
I'll take it back out. You keep talking that way, you're going to ask for it. The issue of Jean Grey in the black evening gown from the previous issues, the one that Wolverine tore the legs off of, and the fact that she's going to be wearing it for basically decades until the X Factor team finds her, or I guess it's the Avengers find her at the bottom of the ocean. She's going to be wearing that thing for quite a while.
Yeah.
A Vanisher sighting between Lang's legs on the page. You don't want a Vanisher sighting between your legs. Just be careful.
I also want to note that good thing that Wolverine was right with his instincts, because if he was wrong, that could have been a real horror book really quick.
Quite a different story.
That would be a good what if comic book.
Yeah, there you go.
What if the snowball messed up his senses so bad he didn't understand it was actually Jean Grey?
She had spilled some WD-40 on her outfit and put him for a loop.
Yeah, right. So yeah, Jean and Scott break out amidst Dr. Lang's monologuing, and he's freaking out because his beautiful X Sentinels are being destroyed. And Scott finally decides he's actually going to blast the glass case he's in, and he blasts out, and then he blasts everybody out. And my favorite part of this whole escape fighting Dr. Lang is Dr. Lang has the most bizarre little like spaceship thing he flies around in.
Yeah, a go-kart spaceship.
Very popular in the 70s.
He's inside his own spaceship or space station, flying around in his little like space wheelchair thing. I don't even know what this is. Way better than any wheelchair that Xavier's used up to now.
It's like the Jetsons.
And it looks like it shoots flame or something as well. I mean, the whole thing is quite elaborate and hilarious for me.
Got to get me one of those.
And again, still missing the tooth, got the black eyes.
Yep. I like the consistency there.
Yeah. And Jean, so this is one of the panels you were talking about with the lighting and the art behind Jean's head. Justin, you want to talk about some of what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, all these, and I think they had this. We talked a little bit about it last time too. Just being that the oranges and the yellows that they use to kind of demonstrate her powers is really cool. And I know there's other panels too that we'll hit. But yeah, I mean, every time they use that, we were just talking about it before. It'd be cool to have like a big poster of like the last page of this book. Would be really dope. Oh, I like that it's still douche of the week, by the way. I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to pick the douche of the week, but this guy for me could win any week. Any week this Dr. Lane guy shows up, he's just nuts. My favorite is when he's about, he's flying away and Jean's taking control of the ship and she's going to crash him. He says, the controls are jammed. I can't turn. Help me, somebody. X-Men, help me. You've just been trying to murder them for like 6 issues, and now you're begging for their help.
Still missing a tooth. He's really sweating there.
Well, you would be too, given the circumstances.
It's true. Yep.
It's a tiny little spaceship. There's probably not AC.
No,
Yeah,
that's
not good ventilation in there.
that was the controls he was reaching for, probably.
The front fogged up. That's why you could see where he was going.
Absolutely. And I love he's like, I'm going to, and then it says crash.
It was probably him shouting the word crash because he likes to shout everything.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And for those that are worried about Dr. Lang, know that apparently he becomes completely catatonic. And when they find, apparently later on, he's in some hospital in a catatonic state. However, crashing into the computer does have its ramifications. And shout out to Chet because he recommended that Justin and I read this Hulk Annual 7. If you've never heard of it, that's because what's Hulk Annual 7? Who's reading Hulk? It is John Byrne art all around, cover and interior. Has to do with Angel and Iceman being chased down by a rogue Sentinel, and going back to this very space station in issue 100 here and dealing with a new master mold, which seems to have melded with Dr. Lang's brains somehow. So for those of you that want a little more of this storyline, this wonderful tie-in issue, which was highly entertaining, has Iceman, Angel, and Hulk versus Master Mold in this very space station dealing with a version of Dr. Lang. So it's technically after this issue 100. It goes somewhere after this one. But thank you to Chet, because I would never have read it otherwise, and it was a really cool tie-in. I enjoyed it. So I left this panel from last week, the one that says Geronimo at the top here, is the very clever piloting plan of crashing a space shuttle into a space station to get inside. And I joked that there's no repercussions for this. Not true, because now this week we're dealing with last week's pilot error. And the pilot is now telling them, guys, we're going to have a hard time piloting this back to Earth. There's been damage to the ship and to the navigation systems, and it's going to be very difficult to make it safely back to Earth. So, joke was on me. It did have repercussions.
They were ready.
When you're being a cowboy, you don't usually think things through to that level.
You just want to crash something into something. And Jean Grey. Jean Grey is the MVP because she comes up with the only way to solve the problem, which is she sort of mind melds with this with the doctor pilot guy, learning how to pilot the ship, knowing that she's the one that can hold the ship together and protect herself enough to get the rest of them safely back to Earth. This is that classic hero self-sacrifice moment. She gets a little goodbye with Cyclops and knocks him out so he can't argue because, that's what we all want to do. She gets a little romantic hug with Storm saying, thank you. I appreciate all that. And then she tells Wolverine to shove it, basically.
Yeah, that was great.
Wolverine. Yeah, you want to talk about it, Justin? Go for it.
He didn't even respond after she told him to shut up or shut your mouth, as she says. Yeah, he had no words. And then it just goes into the next panel with Storm. And then she's like, Storm, don't tell me you're going to try to talk me out of this too. She's like, no.
Sulking away in the background, though. He didn't respond, but he's looking as he walks away. Damn.
Yeah, right here. This is where he's. Can you even see my cursor? I don't know if you can see my cursor.
Yeah.
He's basically, he's just going. He said, he's basically saying, what are you trying to prove? you're as good and noble as Big Daddy X. It's suicide. And then she's like, shut your mouth and get into the life cell now before I lose my temper.
I mean, he's not wrong. Of all the moments in the last, few issues that Wolverine's been like a jerk, he wasn't really being a big jerk. He was more just sort of like, this is probably stupid. You want to die that bad?
Right.
Yeah.
Hello to the boy who had 7. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us for a bit, man. We appreciate that.
What's up, Matt?
Yeah, so Jean does that classic self-sacrifice. She shuts everybody down. And I feel like this is that moment that mirrors a little bit of 95 and losing a teammate. And now, admittedly, Thunderbird was not really self-sacrificing as much as just being a knucklehead. But Jean clearly here taking the hit for the team.
Yeah, big time. It definitely comes out of nowhere. You're like, can they write her off here? Is this going to be the next person they write off? I mean, at that point, you'd almost, if you were brand new to it and didn't know any other stories, like you could question that and be like, well, they already wrote one character off. Like, damn.
I don't know if, it doesn't have to do per se with this issue, but I don't know if either of you had an opportunity to watch the Chris Claremont documentary that was on Amazon.
I haven't.
I saw the beginning.
I don't know if it's still on there or not. I watched it. It's been months since I watched it. If it is, I would recommend checking it out, and anyone who's watching also. But it's just he tells a little funny story about when he was deciding to make changes with the characters and kill off people later on in the books, and kind of like the back and forth he went through to make some of that stuff happen. And it turns out one of the largest deaths down the road, he was sort of more like bluffing when he said he was going to do it, but they took him seriously and told him okay, and he got like stuck in that.
That's hilarious. Ooh, Chet says he saw it and he recommends it as well. So there you go. So that's on Amazon, you said?
Yeah, I mean that's where I watched it.
Okay. I will have to look for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also, I don't know if anybody noticed this. She just throws the space shuttle in reverse, and that's how you get out of a crash situation. She finds that, what it is you got to move the gear shift a little to the right and then down to find that reverse slot, and then you can back your space shuttle up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think is funny about this too, she goes out of her way to like point out how tough they built the space shuttle and how like it didn't scratch the paint, but apparently all the computers.
Yeah, right.
No damage to the outside. Like you couldn't even tell anything happened to this thing. But don't try to auto navigate because that broke.
We just broke the autopilot. That's all that really broke.
But not a scratch on the paint though.
The GPS is screwed.
It's the autopilot from Airplane. They popped a hole in it and just deflated. It's a Nissan space shuttle. That's hilarious. Yeah. So this panel, just the imagery alone. I mean, she's probably using her mental powers to move it, I suppose. Although there's thrusters on the front. Look at that. There's actually thrusters on the front.
Oh yeah.
There you go. The whole thing, just the imagery of it alone. I was like, okay, they just went for it right here, man. They went for it.
Like, no one's gonna notice. We'll just put this panel in here.
And that's what TJ would say. Oh, it's just kids, man. They just kids will just flip the page and enjoy it. That's what TJ would say. You guys are over analyzing it. 12-year-old me would be like, that is the coolest thing ever.
It's true.
So this is another epic cliffhanger, as Justin said. Justin, you want to talk about these? I know you were super. I mean, the art on these panels are amazing.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So just the way that they blend her face into the background and really, control the entire ship is really stunning. And this is the set of panels that I was saying if this would be a really cool poster or something to have up on the wall because and we've seen this multiple times now throughout all the different issues that they've kind of demonstrated that for her abilities. But this one is definitely and it's just a very emotional scene. I mean, obviously, just seeing that first panel there with Cyclops and the guys just having to hold him back, and he's screaming as trying to wants to save her. It's a heavy scene. It's a heavy closing to what leaves you with a cliffhanger. and even that last panel, just seeing her, you no longer see her face or her eye. It all just gets like waved to give you that like, oh man, like something blew up, or she's gone. It's heavy.
By something that goes taka 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 taka.
The onomatopoeia is on point right now.
This gave me very strong X2 vibes. That's one of my favorite X-Men movies, and just this portion of like Jean sacrificing herself and Cyclops kind of freaking out while everyone like kind of holds him back. It gave me those X2 feels.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they, as good as you probably could, they really captured that moment well. And it's such an iconic moment. It's what Magic Lasso is saying. Jean's about to become my favorite X-Men. And yeah, it's just that powerful. I even decided to bust out at 101 because it's like you have to keep them together. The 100 and the 101 are part of this amazing moment.
Yeah, big time.
By the way, you can see this.
Let me blow you up there.
It's called Chris Claremont's X-Men. That's documentary. You can't really see that well, but that's it. It's Chris Claremont's X-Men. It's a Prime video. So if you have Prime, it's free to watch. It's only an hour long, so it's not too much of a time investment, but it's worth it, especially if you're a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched there was a thing on there about finding John Romita at one point that I watched. It was really great too.
Wow.
I'd love to see that. I'll have to check and see if that's still floating around.
Yeah, Javi put me onto that one, and I was like really happy that he did. It was a short one too, like an hour.
It's cool. It's mostly just interviews, like with him and other Marvel people that were around at the time, working with him, and just them talking about like the beginning, sort of mostly of that run and how he got involved in the project and some of the key stuff that he's part of.
So cool. I think I actually watched the beginning of that documentary, but this is during the time where I was first reading these issues, and I remember like literally stopping just because I didn't know if they were going to go into
spoilers in there. If you haven't,
yeah. Well, I just started like I was already through like a good amount of the issues, but once they started talking about like was it like 141, 142, like I wasn't quite there yet, so I didn't want to push it.
Hello, Geeky Guy Comics. I hope you did well in the Lame or Frame on Just a Rican's channel. I know you were drawn for the UK, so good luck to you there. Hope you did well. Yeah, I mean the X2 moments, watching Jean die and Wolverine and Cyclops kind of somewhat befriend one another in a moment of tragedy. It's good stuff.
Recent books make me wonder that I'm not aware of, so I'm legitimately asking this question in case anyone knows the answer. In these early books and in the early beginnings of Wolverine and the X-Men, there was zero kind of relationship between Wolverine and Jean. And I'm curious when down the line they created that sort of love triangle that still persists today in the X books. I'm sort of curious if anyone knows the answer. When exactly did she stop thinking he was like a midget a-hole?
I don't legitimately know. So if anyone in the chat knows that's a great question.
Yeah.
Let's get into a little bit of the math for this issue here, or some of the facts for you all. Obviously, this is the first time we have the fastball special occur in a comic, so that's a huge fun factoid for this one. And it's also a new team versus old team showdown. The original time these two teams fought off, even though it's technically not actually the old team. And this is the first full appearance of those X Sentinels. And I didn't mention some of the stuff with Wolverine's sense of smell and sort of the evolution of his animalistic side, obviously, is an element of this issue as well. And hey, the first time I've seen a space shuttle go in reverse.
They should add that.
Put that in the factoids. So we were talking last week and the week before, something that Chris has mentioned as well in the chat, that these issues seem to have a huge jump between 9.6 and 9.8, and that holds true here. So a 9.6 for this issue is $400. This is about last week. And a 9.8 is $1,700. So you're still looking at a 4 times plus jump from a 9.6 to a 9.8. And there are still 90 9.8s of this book, and 246 9.6s, and 300 something in 9.4, 300 something in 9.2, 300 something in 9.0, 300 something in 8.5. So there are a lot of 9.4 to 8.5s, but almost 100 in the 9.8 range of this book.
Wow.
So what do you think, Chris? Now, I mean, I know you've been studying comics at least as long as I have, maybe longer, probably. I feel like a ×2 jump between a 9.6 and a 9.8 is fairly common. Do you feel that is true?
Yeah, I mean, from the stuff that I look at, and it runs across the board, a ×2 jump is super common, and a ×3 happens, but is definitely on the, the lower end of the spectrum, even when it comes to big books. I have to imagine that the reality of it has to do with the actual number on the census. At the end of the day, it has to be that difference between 9.8s available that's driving up that price, that people are looking at the census and saying, well, there's not quite as many, of these floating around. Whereas like you look at big books like Hulk 181 and stuff like that, even the number of high grade copies is significantly higher.
Right.
These books. And even those books are like a ×2.5 jump from like a 9.6 to a 9.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, and maybe Justin, you have some thoughts on this too. Like, I feel like a lot of books that are huge keys in that same time frame have a normal 2 to 3 times jump in their 9.6 to 9.8. But for some reason, these early X-Men 90, I think we really noticed it 90 after 94, but like in that 90s range now here, including 100, have a ×4 or even a ×5 jump. Have you seen that before, Justin, anywhere? Have you noticed that kind of disparity?
Not really. I mean, I haven't really looked closely at this type of stuff for any of the other, like a lot of the key books and things like that. I mean, mostly because I know I just can't go out. I'm not buying any of the 9.8 anytime soon. Right. But yeah, I mean, from what we've just discovered here, or what we've kind of reviewed in the past couple of weeks, it's definitely eye-opening to see these massive jumps specific to these books. And yeah, I would like to look at just some of the other keys and see how some things compare. And I mean, some of these books, as we said before, are not even keys, or they're way less of keys, than what a true key is or whatever. So, even that's still saying a lot, even to that. So I think, Chris, that you're right, where it definitely plays a big role in the fact that there's, a very small amount of them.
The other factor that I would keep in mind in not stressing though about these jumps is that while a ×4 jump is a lot in terms of the increase itself from 400 to 1,700, that you also have to keep in mind that a ×2 jump on a book like Hulk 181 is changing the book from 12,000 to 24,000.
Right.
Yeah.
So you might say in your head, well, that book only jumps like double from 9.6 to 9.8, but the 9.6 is already so expensive that a $12,000 increase for a 0.2 grade bump is a huge amount of money. Nobody could justify saying, why doesn't that book go up by $30,000? Because that's insanity, and nobody would ever
right.
pay that. But when you look at a smaller book, you say, oh, 400 versus 1,600, that's a lot, but it's still, in my mind, an affordable amount of money to pay for a 9.8 of a book that has relatively low number of copies on the census.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Those white covers are tough too.
Oh yeah. And we've had a lot of white or black kind of background covers for a few of these. Old Wolf, hello. And Rod, just a weekend is in here. Thanks for coming by, guys. And TJ saying, Chris is correct. There's a supply and demand element here for sure at play. And we joked, and Chris in the chat joked, like, if you had the money to play around with something like this, you'd go out and buy a bunch of 9.6s in the old slabs that you could find, press and clean, and roll the dice and hope to have one book pay for the lot.
Yeah,
for sure. If you're just looking for, you have to look for the things that are capable of making a great improvement. Like you're not going to buy a 9.6 that has like, 10 pages because you're never going to be able to change that. You know, if the cover looks a little dirty, that a cleaning could help it a little bit. If you see a little bit of creasing somewhere, those are all things that a 9.6 to a 9.8 is not unreasonable. Because if it's kept in good enough condition to get a 9.6, it's there. It's right there. And we also all know how inconsistent CGC can be. You could send in the same book. If I was rich and I had money just for shits and giggles, I would take the same book, crack it, and submit it like 10 different times through 10 different friends. So it's all different people. And I would see what grade it gets every time, the same book in the same condition, because I guarantee you it's going to be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very true.
That would be interesting.
Chet says, always remember, white pages matter.
Of course, yeah, because you can't improve on that. You can improve on the crease. You can maybe touch up a blunted corner. You could erase off some dirt on the front, but you're never gonna unbrown those pages.
You can't fix ugly.
No.
I've tried. All right. Well, that's the end of the slideshow there. Let's do a little wrap up here. Huge shout out to Issues for joining us, man. I really do appreciate you taking the time and always dropping some great knowledge and perspective on stuff. And if you don't follow him on Instagram and you don't do much on YouTube right now, but you used to have some stuff on your channel.
I don't really do anything on YouTube except hop in when guys like you are nice enough to offer me an opportunity to hang out. But I just don't have the drive that you guys do to I tell everybody that you're like the hardest working guy on YouTube, John. So I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you keep up with it. More power to you, but I'm honest enough with myself to know that even if I said I'm going to do my own show once a week at a certain time, it would probably be about 3 weeks before I disappeared.
It's funny because I look at guys, I'm looking at Reggie or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I don't have that in me. Like the 5 edited videos and 2 live streams, and I'm like, okay, that's a lot. Big Will says, you want to see big jumps that make no sense? Look up Wolverine 35 and look at the sales of 9.6 versus 9.8. Okay, something to think about.
Yeah, there's bizarre books out there that you would imagine like it makes no sense for the prices to be what they are, but also I think when it comes to certain books, people take the census like as meaning way more than it actually means, like people.
So the rarity versus scarcity stuff.
Yeah. Cause the thing is you look at how many copies of X-Men 100 are slabbed in those different grades. And you think to yourself that most people that have a 5 or below are not going to spend any time or energy to get that book slabbed. So even though there's a decent amount in those like 6 and upgrades, I think those people are aware of what their book is going to grade at. And I think that's why you see a huge drop off underneath, because if everyone just sent in their books willy nilly, there'd be like 3,000 copies at like 3.0. But people like me who are sitting on a super low grade one are like, I don't need to spend $30 for you to tell me that it's a 3.5. Like,
Absolutely. I absolutely agree, for sure. I have several books like that I'm like, I'm not sending it in to get slabbed, even though it's like a reasonably valuable book, but it's a 1.0. I'm fine.
There's other companies out there, as much as we might want to acknowledge that CGC is the giant and the preferred company, especially for most collectors that resell. There's still PGX and CBCS books floating around out there, and they don't offer a census the way that, I think CBCS is offering a census now. I think that was one of their updates, that they were finally putting a census into.
That'd be great. And I hear their new slabs look really awesome.
Yeah, I've heard really great things. I think it's great to have competition in the marketplace. I think
for sure
it'll hopefully push CGC to avoid some of those issues. But as far as what Big Will was saying, like, people will slab a book that they have no business slabbing and then tell you, but it's one of only like 5 on the census. You're pushing the number to try to sprinkle fairy dust on a turd. Like there's a very specific reason nobody slabbed Mr. Miracle 21. Like no, it's just a nonsense book that nobody cares about. So congratulations.
I remember when White Whale Comics went on the hunt and he had all 3 copies of a book in 9.8. He's like, there's only 3 on the census, and I own all 3 because I saw that there were only 3, and I saw all 3 of them were on eBay, and I bought all 3, so I own all of them.
That's hysterical.
That's exactly it.
Some random little book that's like, there's only 3 on the census in the 9.8, and I got all of them. They're right here.
Yeah, there's CBC books floating around out there that cost more to slab than the book is worth. So.
He's saying then Big Will's dropping the finances on those books. That's just nuts. CBCS census is 20 years too late. There you go.
No, I agree. I'm just saying when you talk about the census, up until maybe recently, there was no way of even matching up how many copies of a certain book were sent to a rival, agency.
Well, and the flaw with the census in general is like, let's say I slab a book and I think the grade is wrong. I crack it, I press it, I resubmit it. Now are there 2 on the census?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there are.
So the number in the census is instantly wrong because these books are getting resubmitted and reslabbed and read whatever every once in a while.
I was wondering that.
To know that you're doing that. Number one, you wouldn't tell them because you don't want them to just automatically give you the same grade for the sake of protecting themselves.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And like you said, that doesn't cover cross-agency stuff. So there's plenty of people that buy PGX and CBCS slabs because they're cheaper and immediately crack, clean, press, and resubmit to CBC to improve value. So now if all 3 companies had a census, all 3 companies could end up with the same book existing in 3 different places. It's not a perfect science, but that's why
it's not.
That's why I say reliance on the census itself is not necessarily
it's not a perfect system in any way.
Yeah.
So we end each show with a little trivia. We ask 4 questions, and we're looking for the first 2 correct answers in the chat. So that means if you see a correct answer, we recommend the old copy and paste can get to that second answer correct. We also look for a little humor in the chat, so we give points for humor. We have an overall scoreboard, and we have a raffle scoreboard as well. First correct answer gets a raffle ticket thrown in, and we will draw a winner's name from the raffle. Then, after that is done, we will pick a winner from the scoreboard. The person closest to the top who did not get their name pulled from the raffle will get a shot to win a random mystery box of X-Men goodies from me, versus the raffle winner is going to get Omnibus Volume 2 from this Claremont run.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. So those of you in the chat, this is your chance to get up on the scoreboard. We are going to ask 4 questions. Do you want to go first this time, Justin?
Sure. And yeah, this is a good opportunity since issues cannot answer. So take advantage, people.
Burner account.
All right. My first question is, who did we meet for the first time during the flash forward scene in Dublin? Who was the character we met for the first time last issue?
Very exciting. Right now, Chris is like, come on.
Jerk at the post office. That's
amazing. Oh, I see Chet first in the chat. Flaherty. Chet is right, but you can copy and paste X illusionary. Come on.
Get in there, X.
My favorite Jim is just right. The whoopsies. So Chet got the 2 points. Let's see who gets the 1 point. So Chet got a raffle ticket entry. Jackson Roy Kirk with the bonus point.
There it is.
That means Jackson and Chet are tied for 3rd place on the overall scoreboard right now. Ooh, little competition in the chat.
Nice.
All right, my question is going to be last week in the issue, there was a sort of unexpected little romantic moment that occurred between 2 of the new team members. Who were those 2 new team members that had a little romantic moment? Not to be expected, and certainly nothing that was ever hinted at before this issue 99. There was a little twisted, shocking little moment. I don't know, twisted, that probably is the wrong word. Hello, Houdat and Ricky. Thank you for coming by. But an unexpected romantic moment. That's probably a better way to say it. John and Justin. No, it was not, but that is the best comedy answer for Beta Ray Jim.
Nice
comedy answer.
Iceman and Banshee was a little foreshadowing about Bobby Drake's.
Right. The correct answer first was X-Illusionary.
Nice. X-Man. Getting
And
involved.
The second was Lasso gets a point. There it is.
So X, that's your first raffle ticket, X. So if you missed it, we have to determine when I don't know when we're gonna do the raffle drawing, since it's coming out in November, I think.
Yeah, the book's not even out yet, so
right.
We got a little time. We can get deep in the hundreds here.
Yeah.
Do this until your show ends. Just stretch it out for as long.
Right until we finish the first Omni.
We have a ways to go. So
thank you, Houdat. I appreciate it, man. You are awesome, man. Always appreciate it. Did somebody? Chet said Peter and Aurora before. Ooh, he did.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
So that counts. That counts. So that means he gets the raffle and the 2 points, and Illusionary gets 1 point.
That's true. I didn't see that. Sorry, Chet.
Sorry to Lasso, because you lost your 1 point there. But that would be Chet. Sorry. Good call, Chet. I'm sorry that I did not see that. I was looking for Storm and Colossus, but you did the faster, shorter names and were able to type it probably quicker as a result.
Smart.
My bad. Much appreciated for the reminder, my man. All right, so Justin, what is your second trivia question?
Okay, so what was the name of the temporary environment bubbles that kept Banshee, Wolverine, and Jean Grey alive while they were floating in space in the very beginning of the issue? What were those bubbles called?
Man, yeah, it was a cliffhanger floating in outer space. You're gonna die.
I love that scene of like Banshee like floating, you know.
Lasso should stick with Diana Ross jokes. There you
go. I mean, it does get him a point. So
there it is. Stop in the name of love and give me my point back. So what were they called? What were those bubbles called? Does anybody remember?
Everyone is currently digging around on their tablets for the page.
I gotta swipe. Marvel Unlimited app is coming in handy, right?
Hey, Chet, if you had a physical copy that wasn't in case, you could take it out and you could look for the answer inside of it.
Biggie Shack said they're called boops. I think he meant boobs, but that's pretty dang funny. That is pretty damn funny.
The pimple protector.
Right? Oh my God. That is hilarious. I'm double checking. Because
oh man, there goes my camera again. Been having camera issues.
Let's see here. Yeah, because they were right there at the beginning, and then they say, "Yep, it hasn't been said yet. They're not the envirospheres. That is wrong.
That's close though.
Kind of close. Very close. The blips, the shockers." I'm going to give Biggie a comedy point.
I would be
boobs
now if I was participating in this game.
Yeah, they're called shockers. Ooh, I'm not going to worry about spelling because it's close enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm giving Jackson Roy Kirk the win on that one, but Chet with a single follow-up point. So that's Chet with the bonus point. And
well done.
They were atmospheres.
So we're going with Roy Kirk, right? He was first.
Jackson Roy Kirk was first. Yeah.
Nice.
That's what I got.
Yeah, good call.
That's a power that was programmed into a Sentinel.
Right? The atmospheres.
Also, their job is to kill mutants, but sure, why not have a power that saves them?
Because that's going to come in handy a lot, right? Yeah. Saving people in the vacuum of space is a primary tool of the Sentinel.
Yeah, that's a great.
really big egos. They're like, I won't let space kill them. I have to.
That would be too easy.
So I could kill you later.
Right? All right, last week I had 2 Avengers comics behind me in slabs. Which issue numbers did I have behind me? So if you can drop the issue numbers in the chat, which 2 were hanging out there? See if people can scroll back through the video and pinch and zoom. Technically, I think I only have 2 Avengers slabbed books. So bonus for people that are aware of those. No, Big Will. I do not have 6 or 9 slab, but 69 is very funny. It's a very funny comedy joke. So I'm giving Big Will a comedy point there, whether he meant it or not. Always count that.
Remember, if you're scrolling back, you got to go to my YouTube.
Yeah, this was on Justin's channel. Ellipses. Yeah, and next week we'll be back on Justin's channel. So make sure that you get over there, subscribe, and be ready for next Tuesday for this bad boy right here, X-Men 101.
It's going to be a big one.
It was not annual 10, no. The only 2 you have, says Jackson Whitekirk. It's true. They are the only 2 that I got. All the rest of mine are raw. I'm usually a raw book collector, but occasionally a good deal on a slab. It's hard to argue with.
I like raw books because you can open them. You can touch them. Smell them. Sometimes they smell like smoke.
All right. If anybody can name any one of them, how about? At this point, we got no correct answers rolling through here. Can you name even one of the books that I had behind me? One of them was a gift from Steve Whiting, gave me one of the books. The other one I bought in Baltimore a year ago. Back when Comic-Cons.
I think Chet had a heart attack from that. From
Vader
that
Ray got one. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
He recognized one of them. So anybody wants to copy and paste, you get the other point. Comedy point's already been spent. Ooh, Beta Ray knew the other number, but it still only counts as one answer. We're still waiting for somebody just to copy and paste and get that bonus point. There it is, Chet. I have Chet just narrowly beating Lasso. Getting that bonus point. Yeah, it was issues 2 and 11. The first Spider-Man crossover issue is 11, and then 2 is the one that Steve Whiting was very nice enough to send me. Unbelievable. 24, Biggie Shaq. Sorry, not Biggie, that's Big Will. All right, so that's going to wrap us up. We got to get out of here. We've been on for an hour and 12 minutes already. Issues, are you got anything on the docket at this point? I know I've booked you for crime movies live stream at some point, but that's going to happen probably in November somewhere. Anything else coming up for you?
I might be selling some books this Friday night on Barbarian Kung Fu's Friday night buy it now auction setup thing. I've been sort of dipping my toes into moving some of the books that I really don't care so much about anymore to free up some space in my collection. So I started.
He set up a seller's page on Instagram as well, and if you go to his regular page, you can find the link over to his seller's page as well, right?
Yeah. So I'm nothing crazy, but so it'll be my first time ever trying to sell anything on YouTube. But that's it. So maybe Friday, maybe I'll be selling some books with Barbarian Kung Fu, and then like you said, whatever day you guys settle on for the crime and movies live stream, I will be there for that. That's all I got in the pipeline.
Awesome. And Biggie's saying it's a good idea selling the stuff you can live without, right? Definitely. Nice. Well, plus it all takes up space. It's fun to have the reading, but it all takes up space somewhere. Chet says, fun seeing you guys. 101 is a 9-2 Stan and Chris Gold. He's given us the sneak preview already.
He's prepping.
What about you, Justin? You got stuff coming up on your channel this week?
Well, first I wanted to say, Chris, thanks for for joining us. I was really bummed that you just shared that your seller page is out there, because I've been watching it like a hawk, and
Yeah, I don't have a lot of followers yet, and I know that, some of the same people have been claiming books, and I feel like they're not sharing the wealth out there.
that you became one of my like gems, that I found. You find them once in a while. There's a couple other Instagram accounts out there, and I'm like, oh, he's just getting started. So
some guys messaging me building boxes over here. They think they found a digital honey hole.
You got good books, man. You got some good stuff that you got out there. So yeah, to your point, everybody go check it out. I have my comic collector origins coming up Saturday. This past episode, I had some internet issues again for some reason, first time in a while, but hopefully we'll be back up and running on YouTube. And this was fine tonight, so I'll be there Saturday, 2:00 as always, and maybe do an unboxing on Instagram before that. I've been doing that now, and I have a couple more boxes to open up. So
nice.
That's about it.
As for me, I'm not running anything on my show on my channel tomorrow because Alec is hosting book club. We are doing a 2-year anniversary special, so come by White Whale Comics channel tomorrow night. He's saying he's opening the invite to anybody who's been a guest in our 2 years. So if you want to come on and hang out, talk about sitting on a toilet in a panda hat, you do whatever you like. You're welcome to hang out with us. We're going to be looking
on YouTube, guys. 2 days in a row on YouTube.
I'm saying.
Milestone.
We're going to look back a little bit on the books that we've read and highlight some of our favorites, not just crap on all the books that we've shit on for 2 years.
Because in 2 years, you guys have only liked 3 books. So
it's going to be a quick show, I'm saying. That's why we need people to come on. We need some filler. And then Thursdays, I've been dropping an edited video looking at my pull list and what's coming out next week. There's some good stuff coming out next week. I think it's going to be a busier week. IDW's got the new TMNT book that I really want to read. It sounds really interesting. And I got Canto from IDW. So there's definitely some good indie stuff next week to look for. And it's a super light Marvel week. I think I've got 1 Marvel book next week, which is like super rare for me. So that drops Thursday.
Is crossover next week too, or is that the week after?
I don't know. Which publisher's crossover?
Image.
I don't remember seeing it on my list. There was an Image book, but I think it was something that I've already got on my pull list.
Probably the week after then.
So that video will drop on Thursday in the afternoon, my time, East Coast, to be like 6 or 7. So that's it for me. I should be helping out with the Baltimore Comic-Con this weekend, so watch for some cool content coming from them. Alec and I'm sure will be backstage manipulating all that kind of stuff. So if you guys want to check that out, BaltimoreComicConLive.com, I think is the website where you can get all the info.
Sweet.
All right, gang, we are out of here. I will log us out, and thanks again, Chris, for hanging with us, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Chris.